I'm really clear that the majority of the people in this business know how to act. Not everyone, but the majority. People have a passion for this business. I don't think so. They have a passion for acting. They have a passion for performing. They don't know anything about the business because this is show business.
It's an educational documentary. The whole thing is about every level of the business.
I learned some amazing things from you early on.
You can't be stupid and be a good actor. It's not luck. You ask yourself, do I love this?
It's a business that, you know, is heartbreaking on so many levels, but it's the only business.
If you're not enjoying the process of being an actor and all that goes with it, then this is not the career for you.
It's about going for goals, going for your dreams, and making them happen.
In the marriage of show and business, you have to be brilliant at both.
I want you to understand it's you and your responsibility to make your careers happen.
It's a really exciting time to be an actor for the ones that are willing to do the work.
You know, people go, God, it's a hard business. And I'm like, but what other business really is there?
Everybody's unique, just like everybody else. Do many people think because they're talented that they will be found? That they need to meet somebody once, and then that casting director or that agent or that director will think, oh my gosh, they're just the greatest thing since sliced bread.
If you're gonna make it your career, you have to make it your career. You know, it can't be a hobby if you want to be successful.
It can't be something that you want to do, and it can't be the thing that you're best at. It can't be the thing that you realize you can make a big contribution to. You have to need it.
If you really want to take it to the next level, there's got to be something inside you that pushes you forward. And that's something I'm really starting to realize these days. And I've been here for 5.5 years now. And it's like just sinking in.
It has to be something than which there is nothing. You have to have it. If you didn't have it, there would be nothing else you could do.
I thought I would get here, and then it would be this, and then I would have to do this. But then it's like, it's a maze, a big maze.
I mean, in so many ways, the younger days were more fun because they were so new. Everything was new and everything was exciting. And you know, there's nothing like your first time in anything.
This is not a seller's market, this is a buyer's market. And you need to figure out what you uniquely have to offer as an actor besides just talent.
Each audition is different. Each day you feel different, so you have to muster up the confidence to go in there. Some days you feel down, some days you feel like you don't have a lot of energy. You have to find a way to get past that and to get over that.
It's not their job to remember you, it's your job to stay remembered.
You do it because you love it. You know, that's the bottom line.
The whole thing is about every level of the business. You have to know, the beginning actors, that once you're a success, things don't end. How do you maintain a career once you're established?
Like, I just kind of like tumbled out of a plane and was doing the show and then kind of dealt with everything else after I'd gotten here. And so I just basically tumbled out into nothingness by myself in a suitcase. And it's been horrible trying to find a place to live, horrible trying to have enough money to live, and trying to figure out who I am in all of this, and also who I am as an artist, and what exactly it is that I'm wanting to do right now, and how to get there, And like, it's just kind of, I'm sorting out this jumble of stuff that's all the things that I want to do and how to make them all happen.
How do I know I have talent? I don't know how you would know you have talent at a beginning place. Because talent is a combination of two things. It's a combination of craft knowledge and instincts. So the answer to the question of whether or not you have the talent, we do not know until you start studying. Then we're going to know how far your technique, your instincts are going to take you. By the way, there is so much that I'm going to tell you guys today that if you all decide to become doctors and dentists and lawyers, you use the same stuff because the principles are the same. So your education is very important. Education is number one.
I learned some amazing things from you early on. And I was doing a comedic scene in your class, and I was 19 years old, and you said, you're getting angry. And in comedy, you can't be angry, you have to be frustrated. And I never, ever forgot that. And that is one of the greatest tips you ever gave me, because when I was playing Gleason, he was really just a big kid having a tantrum for not getting his way. And because I was 1.5 feet bigger than Gleason, I had to make sure when I was acting and playing that role, whenever I lost it, it was always bombastic and a tantrum as opposed to a tirade. So I want to thank you for that, because you had a lot to do with that working. You know, I believe that you got to really, really be honest to yourself. Like I'll do a stand-up show and someone will come backstage and they'll go, boy, you know what, I'm 43 and I'm an attorney and I've always wanted to be a comedian. And I'll go, you really don't. Because they don't. Because it isn't, you know, being a performer, it's not a conscious decision. You know, I know it sounds corny, but I think it's a business that picks you.
When I moved here, I came with almost no money, and so I had to get a job, and it's taking me a long time to get used to making enough money to survive, and also like getting out and preparing for an audition, getting to those auditions that I'm having to set up, and basically be my own agent, manager, self. Like it's a lot. But I've met people. I've been doing a lot of like short film things. I've been doing a web series. I've taken a couple classes. Yeah, that's where I am now.
As a college teacher now myself, I see that happen where there's a lot of, just a constant influx of people that are just ambitiously flocking into the city. And a very small percentage of people really stay.
You have to remember, first of all, what you love about doing it, and let that be the fire that keeps you going. And then what are the things you can do? And education is the key thing.
With managers, if they ask you for money, run to the hills. If they say, I'll sign you up, but you have to go get pictures made by Joe Schmo, run to the hills, because they're not legitimate. don't go near them. Let me tell you what a manager's job is, really, at this level. A manager should be someone whose first job is to get you representation. In other words, get you with an agent. That's what that manager's job should be. And your first question to them is, before I sign contract, are you guaranteeing me that you will get me the best representation I can have at my level? If they say, well, I can't guarantee that, then say, well, until you can, I'm not signing anything. Remember, any manager or any agent in this business is creating a marriage between you and that person. There's no such thing as adoptions going on. They're not going to become mommy and daddy, and they're going to take really good care of you. Okay? It's all about working together to create a successful career. So you need to be really, really careful.
I love how you said your relationship with an agent is a marriage, but it's like a polygamous marriage. It is, because their focus is widespread. They're not married just to you. And that is the other misnomer I want to clear up. When you get an agent, your attention is only on your career. Their attention is on many careers, because they only make money when you make money.
Can anyone call themselves an agency? Yes. But here's the difference. You can get on a phone and call up any one of the unions and say, are they legitimate? And you don't have to be a union member to do that. And they will tell you whether or not an agency is a legitimate agency or not. So that's covered.
$12,000 though. Furniture commercial. $12,000 twice. You gotta go to those, right?
Business casual attire they're looking for, and call them to get ready for 12:05 tomorrow, Thursday the 6th. Beth Melsky's office.
And if you got a pair on you, you gotta go no headshot every time. You're like, did you bring a headshot? You're like, no. Did you? You're like, I'll call my agent. They'll get you one or something. I don't know. Don't have a headshot on you. Never take a headshot to an audition, ever. It'd look cooler.
You never hurry to an audition. You always hurry from one, like you got somewhere to go. It's more important than being there, even though it's rarely ever true. So I went through like a big drought where I was getting some commercials, but I couldn't get any like TV film theater. I was like completely dry, and so I said, well, I'm gonna buckle down and find out where they're shooting things in smaller towns like Philadelphia and Boston and in Chicago and in Salt Lake. And so I said, I'm going to get a job on a TV show, even if it's 5 lines, sometime in the next 4 months, and I'm going to spend however money it takes and do whatever, and I'm going to get another part to get this going. The craziest thing that I did was I sent my stuff to Salt Lake City for the show. Everwood was there, and I sent it in, and they comparatively to who they have in Salt Lake City, like my resume measured out all right. So they said, well, we'll call you in for stuff and we'll send you straight to producers. We don't have to pre-read you. And I was like, great. And so I would get a call in New York at maybe 6 o'clock or 7 p.m. New York time saying, hey, we'd like you to come in tomorrow. You're in Salt Lake. And I'd be like, yeah, I am in Salt Lake. I'm totally right down the street. You know, I can come right in. Tomorrow it'll be no problem. So I'd get the sides, I'd study them, and I took this like Delta flight out of JFK, 7 a.m. And it would get in at like 10 a.m. at Salt Lake. I'd get in a cab, go to the audition, pay the cab guy to like hang out. I would read the audition. It would take almost 90 seconds. And be like, great, well, we'll let you know. And then I'd get back in the cab and get in an airplane and fly home. And I did it 5 times. I never got the part on it.
I have auditions a lot. And so that's rejection every day. You know, if I have an audition every day this week, I'm probably going to get rejected most days.
The disappointments and the, not being cast, it's part of it. You have to accept straight away that it's a part of the job, otherwise you will not succeed. Because you're going to get rejected more than you're going to get cast. That's just a matter of fact.
I have these things that have happened that keep me motivated, and I know that rejection and that's just part of it, and going to auditions over and over is just part of the whole thing.
I was barely able to get the audition because Raymond, the pilot, was really written directly from Ray's life. As Ray said, it's gotta be like my life, because I'm not an actor. It's gotta be like my life. So they wrote it like his life. And his brother, who was a cop, in real life was much smaller than Ray. And they wanted like a younger Danny DeVito, scrappy type of guy that was always nipping at Ray's heels, envious in a much more aggressive way. And I read the script, and it was one of the best pilots I'd ever read, and I begged to audition, and they went, oh, Brad, you're not right, you're too big. The idea is that this brother, even though he's older than Ray, but he's got to look, and I said, let me just go in. I said, because I thought, what a great way to go against type. To play this guy is a giant that's just so used to coming in second that he succumbed to it. It's become a way of life, What I used in my head when I played Robert is, Raymond is an only child, but they forgot to tell Robert. When I came in and I played it down and I didn't play it crazy and loud and, in that pitbull way, they went, wow, this is really a different way to go. And so many times, especially if you think that your physicality is wrong, or that you're too ethnic or you're too this, you can't buy into that, because half of the time they don't know what they want, and you almost have to bring it,
You tell them.
You kind of have to tell them or show them. I wasn't known for many things when I got Raymond. I mean, I'd done a couple guests on Roseanne or Mad About You, but I just finished a Seinfeld where I played the guy who stole Jerry's car. I was the mechanic. So I got a little buzz from that, but Ray was like, no, I don't want Brad to be my brother. He's the guy from Star Search, and his act is so hacky. He doesn't know I heard all this, but I heard it. And to this day, he will pay. Ray will pay. And we'll break into his mansion and hide in the gift shop until he wakes up. When I went in for that audition, and I went in, everyone came in, playing it like, Ray's little brother, and I went in just, hello, Raymond. Very, very, it just created this, and Les Moonves was in the audition. I mean, those were back in the days when they brought along a sitcom, they nurtured it. So it was like the head of HBO, and I got on a roll, and they laughed, so I felt like it was really, really good. Then I've had an audition where, most of them I'm awful, where I hear not just crickets, but actually cricket's thoughts. It's so quiet that I can hear the director going, eggs, butter, bread, I need more detergent. Back in the day, before I got a little recognition, I would overplay the room. I would go in the room and I would do 5 minutes of stand-up, and they hate that. I was so insecure, and that's all I really had. So I would go from doing an impression, of Herman Munster You know, they don't, you know, you're a 20th, they want to do a movie, and I'm like, good one, Eddie. You know, and I'm doing like Equus, you know, and you can't do it as Herman. I love the pony. They don't want Herman and Equus. So I've overplayed the room, kind of like today.
I had this terrible audition that lasted for a week, and I was there for like 3 hours a day for a full week. And then the guy offered me a PA position on the film, which I did because he said he would do my headshots for free, and then never, ever did it. And he was a very, very scary human being. So that was kind of awful.
One thing about auditioning is, you know, you always just have to like dive in, and you know, the best auditions are the ones where you just like, you really go for it. And I always tell people, I never know, you know, you could just go and like be amazing, or sometimes you dive in and you just totally fall flat, or you mess up, but you just have to like keep going, you know, keep going to auditions every day.
But you need, I'll show you attitudes. Well, I'll show you. You don't think I've got it? You don't think I'm going to be great? I'll show you. I am going to be, because that's my truth. And that's what I know about myself. But you got to back it up. You can't just say those things. You got to back it up with the kind of work you do, what you expect of yourselves.
I went in on this audition, and I thought I did really well. You just know, when you're like, I know that went really well. But I was so intimidated by the woman who went in before me, because she has major TVQ and she's very very popular, and everybody was like, oh, hi, how are you? And she was like, hi. And the other person who was going in after me. And I was convinced that even though when I left the room and they really thought I was good, and I knew I had that good feeling about it, and when I didn't hear anything, like one day after another, 2 days.
Is it okay to find yourself in a position that you didn't know was going to happen, and you just was in the right place at the right time, and you got a great job from that?
3 days, 4 days.
It's not luck if you weren't prepared to take advantage of that moment when it happened to you.
I just went into this huge depression.
It's not luck.
Jesus, I'm such a loser. I mean, if I cannot get a mulatto with an Irish accent, then I might as well just hang it up.
You were ready, and someone found you. Someone sensed it. Someone knew it. Someone felt it.
I am such a loser. It's like I haven't had any jobs. I finally get the one that I can do, and it's not going to happen. And I hated myself.
I turned around and said, yes, this is the person.
And then finally I just was like, well, I have to get out of it because it's not happening.
And boy, you got up there and proved it.
It's just not happening. I am a loser. It's not going to happen.
You got up there and said, yeah, this is mine, I claim it.
Or, you know what, I'm not a loser. How's that? I feel really good about myself. Everything's fine. And finally, when I went through that cycle, I was so exhausted. It had been 5 days. And then, you know, if you haven't gotten the call by like the first day or the second day, you haven't gotten the job. So by the time I got to the 5th day, I was like, and I was on the way to like therapy.
Do I really love what I'm doing?
I think I was on the way to couples therapy with my husband.
And I've got to love it all. I've got to love the art.
And I'd finally let it go, and that's when I got the phone call saying, you start work in 2 days.
And I've got to find a way of loving the business.
And I was like, what? On that? And they were like, yeah. They said that you were the best one. And I was like, well, it took them long enough. It was a great lesson. But 5 days. 5 days!
You never stop auditioning. You know, it's kind of like what I've always said. There's someone saying no to Tom Hanks. There's always somebody feeling you can't do it or have to do it this way or that way. And it never changes.
Clint Eastwood has played the same character over and over and over again his entire life. Pretty much, you know what I mean? He's known for certain things. Julia Roberts is that comedic, romantic leading comedy gal. There's, you know, even Brad Garrett, who I know studied with you. He's kind of that, you know, likable big guy. Almost, he doesn't normally play action heroes. Could he? Does he want to? I don't know. But we're used to seeing Brad Garrett in certain kinds of roles. And that's what we hire over and over and over again.
I can rarely get a dramatic audition. And you know, it's that mixed blessing. I mean, I'm known as a sitcom guy. You know, Raymond is on 9 times a day in 30 countries. You have to reinvent yourself, which is fine, but they got to give you that opportunity.
There's no qualifications in this business. Everybody who's talented thinks that they can do everything, and really you can't.
It's really difficult to be taken seriously as a serious actor.
Some would call this typecasting, but I say the operative word is cast.
As far as auditions go, if I have the time, the money, and I'll try to make a thing be like, you have to go to 4 auditions this week, and usually just just the pure physics in it, like something comes of it if you're like throwing that much at the wall. So if I lose out to somebody that has a box office draw, like I don't lose an ounce of sleep anymore. I mean, it's kind of frustrating, but and then there's like a lot of politics. I mean, I stopped actually getting frustrated a long time ago.
You like to perform, right? You got a captive audience for 3 whole minutes. The casting experience is horrendous, it's hellish.
You have a minute in there to show them your stuff, and that's it. There's a lot of pressure in that.
I don't think we're really at that point where people are just a number. But in essence, they are.
The competition and the numbers, it's overwhelming, it's intimidating. It's difficult sometimes, because it's like, why not me? Call me, you stupid agent or manager, casting people, whether I made it or not.
That would never happen.
You have that hope welling inside you.
There's literally not enough time in the day.
It just sucks.
How many other people walk around all day and are, you know, constantly judged and rejected on a regular basis as part of what they've chosen to do with their lives?
The work part of being an actor is finding work. And once you find work, you're on vacation.
After your 2 years and you know acting, your classes are a gymnasium. You go to work out.
I found out about an internship at a theater. It was at Ensemble Studio Theater in Manhattan.
EST is a developmental theater. The whole idea of it is it's supposed to be an artistic gym. Kurt Dempster started it in the 60s with about 15 or 20 other like-minded theater professionals who wanted to be able to do work that they weren't getting to do on Broadway.
Ensemble Studio Theater was a really good starting spot for me, really good starting place. I was able to do a lot of readings, get little work here and there. It introduced me to some industry, it introduced me to the business.
In California, there is a studio that's locked away and nobody knows where it is, where your celebrity actors go to work out. It's their gymnasium, it's a class. You need to grow, you need to keep, this is an instrument. Acting is not memorizing lines and doing what a director tells you to do. You have to do bread and butter work if you don't have finances, but you got to identify it, okay? If you're a waiter, what you are really, you're not a waiter, you're an actor who is finding a means of supporting what it is you have to do the work you need to do.
I'm here in New York to be an actor, not a waiter, not a bartender, you know? That's my job. That pays the bills right now, but it's by no means what I want to make my career.
Really, it's just
staying on top of it, making sure that you are doing something every day. Because it's so hard, it's so easy to fall into a pattern where you just get caught up in other things, like whether it's making money or relationships or whatever it is. It's easy to forget about why you're here.
It's a sin against the self to let someone steal your energy, your time, and your dreams. I have seen this happen all too frequently.
I don't know why that is. It's just, that's one of the things that easily gets, pushed to the side.
If someone denies you your dreams, not a fling, not a hobby, but your dreams, I hate to say it this way, find someone else. Surround yourself with people of equal mind, people who have goals, people who are out there working daily at achieving their goals, people who are out there making their dreams happen. Not the people who refuse to do what was necessary and are blaming everything else for their failure. Don't get involved with these people because they're so willing to give you information. And my favorite lines that they have are things like, "Well, I've been in this business 25 years and I can tell you it sucks." And then they go off and take the dirty dishes off of table number 6.
I have a list of people, it's not that long, that I kind of refer to that are kind of in my corner, and if I haven't gotten a hold of them in a while, I'll get a hold of them with a purpose.
I found that I've worked with the same people over and over and over again.
How do you know when you're ready? That's the other question I get from young people. Okay, well, if I'm going to start acting classes, when do I know I'm ready to go out there and start looking for work?
I'm confirmed for a print go-see tomorrow, but I can't go now because I'm actually shooting Walking Dead stuff tomorrow, and they just decided to fly me today. So, okay. Walking Dead called and said they needed me on set tomorrow, so I have to fly today. Hi, extension 245, please. Hey, Jamie. Hey, it's Emily Kinney. Well, I'm shooting 4 scenes on Friday, but I know I'm in more than that, so maybe sometime next week I'll be back. I can get someone to put me on, read with me, put me on tape. I think I'm only in 1 scene tomorrow, so I'll probably have a lot of sitting around time. Cool. Well, I have to cancel this audition, but it's a really good one. I've been working on it, so I could, but also trying to pack and everything, plus run to an audition. That's a lot. Plus, I would love to just work on my lines for the actual show I'm shooting, rather than the lines for an audition. But it's a really, really good audition, so maybe I'll be able to tape it. So hopefully I'll be able to do both. I'll do it all. That would be fantastic.
If you are developing into a really good actor, you will never feel ready. You just never will feel ready. You'll always feel, oh, if I just knew a little bit more, if I just knew a little bit more. We need to be patient with ourselves. But there are 2 kinds of patience. There's the patience where we sit back and wait for something to happen, and there's patience that I like to call vital patience. Patience that is filled with a lot of vitality, so that while you're waiting for your dreams to come through, you are vitally alive with enthusiasm and drive and learning and inquisitiveness and all of those wonderful things that are out there.
You're just always trying to get work and just trying to get picked, So it's nice to have a creative project where it's no one's picking me. to do this, you know. I can do it when, you know, when there are no auditions, because sometimes there aren't any jobs. So, but you still want to act or you want to do something creative. And you can create your own opportunities, but there are just days when it's slow, you know. It's like there's no auditions, so what do you do? And it's nice to have something that I'm working on. That's another project that I feel like is really important and special. So I can, in some ways, there's days when it's like, oh, there's no auditions, but great, because I have a whole day to like work on this stuff. It's a whole other project that is run by me.
If you involve yourself with a lot of passion while you're waiting for your dreams to happen, they happen that much sooner.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest challenge for me, I guess, is the not knowing what job will be next. And it can be a little bit frustrating. You always think in your mind, especially in the beginning, you fantasize that, you know, once you get a Broadway credit or once you get, then suddenly things will open up. And they do in some ways, right? You can get into better auditions, maybe you get a better agent, but there's still the fact that like the right job has to, you know, that needs another blonde girl.
As you know, it's a series of catch-22s. Like, you can't be a big part in a film unless you've done a bunch of big parts. Or like when you're trying to get into the unions, like, well, you need to do union jobs to get in. You can't do a union job unless you're already in it. You know, so there's like, I think your whole way up, there's some weird way you crack the catch-22.
Getting into the unions has to do with kind of which gigs you book, if they're equity or non-equity. So it just happens that, you know, the parts that I've booked have been, you know, equity or SAG or AFTRA, and so I had to join. But also, I think a big part of it too is my agency is a union franchised agency, so they're sending me out on jobs that are specifically union jobs. So even though I got my agent early on in my career when I wasn't part of any unions, you know, because they were sending me out for that type of work.
That's also an accomplishment.
Yeah.
You still have to do the networking, you still have to do the marketing, you still have to be in touch and on the minds of the casting directors and producers. So getting that agent is not the be-all end-all, and I don't mean to dismiss, you know, representation is not worth it. It totally is. But agents have the pick, and nobody wants to take you from 0 to 60. They'll take you from about 30 miles an hour to 60, but as we also know, it's the hardest part is getting going. So the 0 to 30 is up to you.
It's definitely, you know, one of the more, I guess, confusing parts of like starting in the acting business. I know when I first moved here, the first show I got, that's one reason I moved back to Nebraska. I didn't really know where to go from there. I'd been going to open calls and got this great gig, and it was, although I was non-union, it was an equity show. And then when the show closed, I didn't really know, you know, where to go from there. Now I love New York City, and it feels like where I should be. It feels like a home to me. I have great friends. I like little neighborhoods that I love. But when I first moved to the city, I didn't necessarily love it here.
People think, just give me the list of what to do and I will do it. Well, that's probably not accurate. I could give you the list of exactly what to do, and most of you won't do it. And I say to the folks that come in the room, I said, look, out of all of you that think that this is really great information and a great idea and you're really inspired and you're going to go out and do it, 80% of you won't do anything different. And it doesn't make you a bad person, it just makes you human. And it does take something very extraordinary to do what it takes, no matter what it takes, no matter how you feel on every given day.
I think like back in the studio days, like in the 30s, 40s, 50s, that people were, you had to like sing, dance, and act, you know, and now I think it's like you have to write and act and produce is kind of like your ticket in.
I had made a rule for myself that I wouldn't go a week without going to an audition.
Most actors, unfortunately, want to go from 0 to 60 in a second. And it just doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way in show business. It doesn't work that way being a plumber. It doesn't work that way in any career that I know of. It doesn't work that way in relationship. You know, finding your soulmate. It doesn't work that way. Everybody wants a microwave career. Everybody wants it yesterday. But if you really get that everything takes time, and here's how long it takes.
I've talked to a lot of elderly actors that have said, gee, it didn't happen for me until I turned 60.
So first of all, there's formulation. From I invented the idea, I'm going to set it all up, I'm going to learn, formulation takes about 2 to 3 years. It's learning what you are, it's learning what they want. The second stage is concentration. That's when you've kind of learned all that and you've got the mindset and you've got the ability to move forward.
It's not like a dancing career or an athlete's career, because at every stage of your life, it's a whole new game. It's a whole new realm of possibilities.
So in formulation, you're putting out a lot more than you're getting back. In concentration, now things are humming along. You're kind of getting back what you put into it because you've learned the game, you've learned the strategies, you've got structures in place.
You've got to focus on this as a true business.
The third stage is momentum, where it seems things just take off like that. That's what we observe when we say the words overnight success. What people don't realize, an overnight success had many years prior, but where people seem to come out of nowhere, that's momentum. And how long we stand momentum, we don't know. Haven't you seen people that have had 15 minutes of fame, poof, momentum, and then some people's momentum seems to take years and years and years, and they grow and they grow and they grow. And that's really cool, this momentum. And then we go into the fourth stage, which is stability. Pretty much where they're coming to you. This is where everybody would like to be, but nobody wants to go through the stages.
You can have business on one hand, you can have your art on the other hand, but it's got to be you in the middle. You understand? This is who I am. I am the business of acting. I am the art of acting. That's who I am. I am that. You don't give up. Ever. I get it. I understand. It is not easy out there.
Most of the people that I know that are really well off working actors, well off by their credits on their resume, by the money in their bank, by their happy family, by their ability to send their kids to college. They may not be the stratosphere actors like Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie and all those ones that we, rich and huge and famous, and George Clooney, because not every actor can do that. That's impossible. But for the ones that are out there making a living, making a good living, enjoying themselves, it took them that 10 to 15 years, maybe 20. And now they're in stability.
If you're sitting around waiting for the phone to ring all the time, nobody really wants to call. Everybody expects you to be industrious.
Create your own projects. Get out on YouTube to a worldwide audience in a week, which would take you years to do through traditional methods.
A good game to play with yourself is to pretend that you're locked in a room with someone with a gun, and this person said to you, well, you have to get yourself on a television show in the next 5 months or I'm going to blow your brains out. And if that actually happened to you, you'd figure it out. You'd do it. You'd just go nuts for 12 hours a day, and then you'd find yourself on a show.
Be in class. I know a lot of times we turn around and say, but I have had classes, Adam. I've studied acting. I have spent years in acting classes. I say, so what? Too many actors stay in their comfort zones. They go what makes them feel good and where they get stroked, instead of going into that areas of themselves that challenge themselves. They're not bringing in the stuff necessary to get the job. They're coming in and doing what is comfortable and what is safe for them.
I'm my own biggest challenge, I mean, without a doubt. Because I think I'm at a stage where, you actually once said this to me, that I'm not really capable of giving really bad auditions. I'm a good reader, I'm a good voice, I can get past all that, but it's what I'm going to bring to the table underneath that's going to get there. And sometimes for me, it's just getting that out there and not being a number and being, oh, okay, we've seen this before. It's bringing something new to the table. And I think that's the biggest obstacle for me, is doing that time and time again.
Your uniqueness is the #1 quality that you're selling.
It's like, it's a maze, a big maze.
I'm more confident, I'm more powerful. I can walk into a room and know that I'm the best version of that. Doors are constantly opening up, and I'm like kind of like going full force toward everything and being shameless, and I'm expecting just the world to open up.
I love what I do. Everything that I'm doing, I absolutely adore. There is an energy, and you know people are responding to what you're doing, and you can sense it. And from the stage, you just feel like everybody's there, everybody's with you, everybody's focused.
There are things that I did that I didn't do correctly, but I've learned from it, and I'll do it right the next time. I don't have any regrets about anything.
Steven Soderbergh said, grow a beard, so I have a beard now. I think it's gonna help my career, because that's all I care about. You almost like, well, how do I get cast? How do I become successful? And then your yoga teacher is like, smiles back at you and says, you need to like who you are. And you're like, who do you think they would like? But they would like me as this, or they like me with a beard? Do you think the beard would work, or no? And they're like, no, just you. You need to walk into the room, being happy with you. And it takes a long time to get there.
It's so much fun. Oh my gosh. It's nothing better than that. No regrets.
And that's the gift that you get pursuing this career, is you gotta get closer and closer to who you are, and it's really fun.
It's really so fun, and it becomes like the thing I'm waiting to do all day. I mean, everything else is so secondary. If I did still live in Nebraska, I would be in the community play. I would be writing songs. I would, you know, even when I'm not working, I seek out chances to perform and write and be creative, and because that's just who I am as a person. I don't want to be this career, I don't want to be that career, I want to be an actor.
What is success, and how do you obtain success? Passion. You have to get in touch with your enthusiasm. Work and study. It's unending. Next thing is get good at it. Practice, 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 practice. Focus. Don't let distractions enter your world. Push, even if it's physical. Push through your shyness. Push through self-doubt. You can't let walls stop you. Serve others. And that doesn't mean that I'm going to go and polish your shoes, but it means I'm going to give you information. I'm going to help you. I'm going to reach out to you. Be curious, ask questions. When I'm at seminars, believe me, I'm the first one with his hand up. Good actors are all informed. And if they don't know something and they feel they have to know it for some reason, they find a way of learning it. The last and my favorite, persistence. Persist, 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 persist. Don't ever say to me, you can't, because you can't doesn't exist. It's you won't. You won't, because you can.